Ahead on NewsWatch, searching for unity, see why leaders in both political parties are calling for change. And speaking of change, town hall meetings packed with frustrated citizens are happening across the nation. We'll show you the impact they're making. And World War II hero Oscar shines on the big screen story of the real-life soldier who rescued more than 70 men from the battlefield without ever touching a weapon. And thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Ephraim Graham. It is a tale of two parties. Conservatives are largely supporting President Donald Trump's plans and his goals for America. And even though Democrats are talking about unity, many of their progressive members are unhappy with the direction of the party. Jenna Browder brings us the story from Washington.
In a divided country of red and blue states,
Hands off our health care!
America's major political parties are searching for unity. For Democrats, that responsibility now falls to Barack Obama's former labor secretary, Tom Perez.
We need a chair who can not only take the fight to Donald Trump, we also need a chair who can lead turnaround and change the culture of the Democratic Party.
Following his election, Perez nominated the man who came in second, Representative Keith Ellison, to be his number 2. As the first Muslim to serve in Congress, Ellison had the support of progressives like Bernie Sanders.
We got to win elections. We're in this mess because we lost not one election, but 1,000 elections.
Perez's election led to a social media battle when President Trump tweeted, "I could not be happier for him or for the Republican Party." Perez responding, "Democrats united across the country will be your worst nightmare." Trump also used his favorite platform to announce he won't attend this year's White House Correspondents' Dinner. This latest shot in his ongoing fight with the news media speaks right to his base. And they spoke back in a poll at the annual Conservative Political Action Conference, or CPAC. 86% said they strongly or somewhat approve of the job he's doing.
And I am just elated to be here with a lot of other deplorables. It's just wonderful.
Absolutely, way more excitement this year than last year in terms of we're going to actually get some things done we needed to get done the last 8 years.
And the president made clear his plans to deliver for evangelicals.
And I want to thank, by the way, the evangelical community, the Christian community, communities of faith. Rabbis and priests and pastors, ministers, because the support for me was a record, as you know, not only in terms of numbers of people, but percentages of those numbers that voted for Trump. So I want to thank you folks. That was amazing, an amazing outpouring, and I will not disappoint you.
The question now, can he keep his promises he's made on topics like Obamacare, border security, and taxes? Ted Cruz tells CBN News he likes what he sees so far.
Listen, I think the first month on substance and policy has been very, very strong.
Trump is going to need the support of lawmakers like Cruz and conservatives from all walks of the Republican Party if he wants to push his agenda through. He'll also need a White House that's on the same page. That'll be up to Chief of Staff Reince Priebus, a GOP establishment player, and top advisor and Beltway outsider Steve Bannon. They put on a good show at CPAC and encouraged everyone else to do the same.
We share an office suite together. We're basically together from 6:30 in the morning until about 11 o'clock at night.
I have a little thing called the war room. He has a fireplace with nice sofas. And the one thing I'd like to leave you guys today with is that we want you to have our back.
Conservatives may unite behind Trump, but the tougher audience comes Tuesday when the president addresses a joint session of Congress. That's where bringing the divided country together gets a whole lot harder. In Washington, Jenna Browder, CBN News.
Lawmakers are returning to Capitol Hill today after facing a lot of outrage from constituents. In recent days, Americans have been expressing a lot of anxiety and anger at town hall meetings, and a few times their representatives never even showed up. But Ben Kennedy has the story.
That woman would show up to the opening of an envelope.
Anger. Frustration.
More
more concerned and nervous.
Which sparked a citizen-led town hall meeting in Sterling, Virginia, after Republican Congresswoman Barbara Comstock wouldn't meet them face-to-face.
The fact that she is not here tonight to listen to our concerns and answer our questions in person is incredibly insulting to me and to all of us.
And this was her chair set aside and reserved for the Congresswoman, but you can see right here in front of me, it remained empty. Despite the no-show, voters in Virginia's 10th district sat down to voice their concerns.
She needs to come and hear from us, and obviously this room is filling up pretty fast, and we're a voice and a side that she needs to hear.
Hear about issues regarding repealing Obamacare, immigration, and Russia.
Please investigate the Russia-Trump connection. I'm pretty concerned about it as a history professor.
It works for us.
Representative Comstock found herself on the run from her constituents on Wednesday after speaking in Manassas. It's there she was met with upset voters asking her to hold an in-person town hall. It appears she chose not to after reports liberal activists were behind at least some of the protests at town hall meetings nationwide. One group calling themselves Indivisible, even providing a guide on how to stage a protest. Are liberal activists behind Indivisible?
Certainly not. None of us are paid by George Soros or anything of that nature.
But some of the protesters have proven that they can be disruptive. Here shouting down a chaplain who tried to pray before a town hall in Louisiana. Wisconsin's Governor Scott Walker told CBN News how he believes members of Congress should deal with the protesters.
I would take the time, particularly would tell members of the House and the Senate, don't rush it, spend the time, listen to people, hear them out, even if they don't agree with you.
Representative Scott Taylor took that approach and was met with boos at his town hall in Virginia Beach.
How did it feel to get booed at? I think I'm a big boy. I signed up for this. People will disagree. It's important for me that everybody has a seat at the table. It's important that I listen to people and respect them and hear their voice. We may disagree, and we probably, on the other side, of course, we disagree on a lot of stuff.
That is the case in Northern Virginia, where residents feel ignored by their lawmaker in Congress. You wish you could have seen her today.
That would be lovely. Yes, definitely wish that she was here and took our invitation.
Ben Kennedy, CBN News.
A Jewish cemetery has been vandalized once again in Philadelphia. More than 100 gravestones were damaged. This comes less than 1 week after a similar incident in Missouri. A man visiting the cemetery discovered the vandalism Sunday morning. He called police to report 3 of his relatives' headstones had been knocked over and damaged. President Trump is still battling reports of ties to Russia, and now a senior member of his own party says those reported contacts with Russians need a special investigation. Adil Hurd is on this story.
Representative Darrell Issa of California is calling for a special prosecutor to investigate reports members of Trump's campaign spoke with Russians to help win the election.
We need to investigate their activities, and we need to do it because they are bad people.
And he said Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who was active in the campaign, should not handle it.
You're going to need to use the special prosecutor's statute and office to take, not just to recuse, you can't just give it to your deputy.
Both the House and Senate have already launched investigations, but former Trump campaign manager Corey Lewandowski echoed the president's denial.
Never, ever, ever did I or anyone that I know of have communication or contact with anyone from Russia or the Russian government whatsoever.
Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton, a Trump supporter, said a special prosecutor would be getting way ahead of ourselves. And no evidence has ever been produced to show that the Russians actually helped Trump win. Meanwhile, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer is trying to pinpoint who is leaking information from the West Wing to the media. Increased security measures will include random phone checks of White House staffers. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Egyptian Christians are fleeing the Sinai in fear of their lives. The exodus comes in the wake of a video released by the Islamic State calling on its fighters to murder Christians. The region has become dangerous following a string of 7 gruesome killings in recent weeks, including a Christian man shot dead in front of his family inside his home last Thursday. Christians, which make up 10% of Egypt's population, believe the government will do little to protect their communities.
There's no life for Christians there. They're thirsty for the blood of any Christian, so there's no way for any Christian to live in El Arish. They were pretty clear when they said, we won't leave any Christian in peace. They want an Islamic State.
Hundreds of Christians are fleeing with simply the clothes on their backs to escape that violence. Colorado churches are stepping up to help refugees as well as immigrants in need. Some churches are opening their doors to offer prayer and protection to these undocumented families. Many refugees are uncertain of their future and even face deportation. While many Christians are concerned about proper vetting, for some, this situation is personal.
I mean, I understand vetting and that there has to be some, but you know, my family, I lost my family in the Holocaust. When the SS St. Louis came around with Jews from Germany that were seeking refuge, and Roosevelt would not let them in. It happened to us.
For many refugees, these churches are the only places they can find shelter and the love of Christ. Tim Keller is stepping down from his role as senior pastor of Redeemer Presbyterian Church in New York City, but the move is not a shock to church members. Christianity Today reports Keller made the announcement at all of the multi-site churches' services on Sunday. The goal has been to transition the 5,000-member megachurch into 3 smaller separate congregations. And while Keller will no longer be pastoring, he's definitely not retiring. He'll be teaching through Reformed Theological Seminary and will still participate in Redeemer's city-to-city church planting network. Keller is well known for authoring books like The Reason for God and The Meaning of Marriage. Coming up, Oscar time for Hacksaw Ridge. Hear from Mel Gibson and the stars behind this powerful story of faith. Everybody's talking about that stunning mistake at the end of the Academy Awards last night. After a long night, it was down to the final big award for Best Picture. Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty, holding an incorrect envelope, wrongly presented the top prize to La La Land instead of Moonlight. It made for an awkward moment and some truly disappointed filmmakers, but it all did get sorted out in the end. Mel Gibson's Hacksaw Ridge is now an Academy Award-winning film, taking home Oscars for Best Sound Mixing and Best Editing. The movie is based on the true story of Desmond Doss, a man whose faith moved him to join the military during World War II. That faith also inspired him to be a conscientious objector, refusing to carry a weapon. Before the film's premiere, I sat down with Gibson and the cast for this look at Hacksaw Ridge.
So how come you don't fight? You think you're better than us?
No.
But what if he was attacked?
Whoa!
Say it like that. Bible says to turn the other cheek, don't it?
Hacksaw Ridge is the heroic true story of Desmond Doss, a military medic who rescued more than 70 men from battle during World War II. And he did it without a single weapon.
Fiction is nowhere near as good as the truth that way. It's you can't make this stuff up. We all wish and hope that we had that kind of strength and conviction and courage, but it's quite clear that only a man like Desmond Doss does.
It just spoke to my heart. I really dug the story. I was, teardrops on page 94.
Oscar winner Mel Gibson directs the film, his first in 10 years. Would you call this a companion piece to Braveheart in any way?
Yeah, in a sense, I think it's more evolved in a way, because it's really about love, not war.
I thank God for letting me do my part in this war and saving the lives of my fellow men.
Doss, the first conscientious objector to receive the Medal of Honor, is a living story of love for God, his country, and his wife, Dorothy.
I fell in love with you because you weren't like anyone else. You're saying you could go to prison.
I don't know how I'm going to live with myself if I don't stay true to what I believe.
It's just this unconditional love between them.
And I was so drawn to that because the love feels so pure and innocent, and I think it's very different from some of the romances we see these days with our apps and Tinder and Twitter.
I know that you did a lot of research on women during that time period. What did you find out?
I actually did a lot of research, more specifically on Dorothy Schutte. There's hardly any footage of her, but the few things I did see, I saw how she walks with such grace and elegance, and she is a woman of great faith.
Private Doss, you are free to run into the hellfire of battle without a single weapon to protect yourself.
He goes into battle with only his faith in God and his Bible as a weapon. How do you do that?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, good question.
So that is the question. And I think it's mysterious. I think it's deeply mysterious. I don't even know if he knew how he did it. The way I see it and the way I think that Mel framed it for us as a story is that you feel there's no choice. He doesn't actually have a choice in the matter. There's a calling. You know, he asks on top of the ridge when everyone else is retreating. He just pauses and takes a second, as you see in the film, and he asks, what do you want of me? He's tuning into that inner voice, tuning into the voice of his God.
What is it you want of me? I don't understand.
Just discovering that this was a man that lived was a surprise in his entirety.
You're like gum on a shoe, ain't you?
Give me this.
It's a bit late for target practice now, don't you think?
Vince, how would you describe what happens to the relationship between Sergeant Howell and Desmond over the course of their time together?
I think that Sergeant Howell starts from a place of his own faith and conviction. So I think I recognize my character very early, that he is authentic, but it is an absolute collision with my belief system. We are going to war. There is not a good fit for someone who is not prepared to carry a gun or defend his brothers in the foxholes. I think as we go on, what I love about our relationship, which I think is different than any of the others, is there's a sense of humor and a teasing that takes place where you realize that there's no apology needed. We kind of got who each other was, and we're just both looking at each other in these kind of oddity ways and enjoying each other. But there is something, without giving too much away, in that moment when he comes for me, where we both kind of protect the other.
Right.
You know, my philosophies does sort of save him, and his philosophies have saved me, and there is a beauty in that yin and yang that come together.
The film is available on DVD. Kevin O'Connell led the team of artists who won the Oscar for Best Sound Mixing. Hacksaw Ridge was his 21st nomination and his very first win. Up next, meet a young boy who fled war-torn Syria. Now he's got a smile on his face. You'll find out why when we return. The Syrian civil war has displaced millions. Many of those refugees fled to the neighboring country of Lebanon. Some, with the help of CBN, are finding help to build a new life. Take a look.
When the Syrian civil war came to the city of Homs, thousands were forced to run for their lives. Naji and his family fled to a refugee camp in southern Lebanon.
There were so many planes and bombs. I thought we would die. We came here thinking life would be better, but it's been very difficult.
When I went to the camp, Naji's aunt told me about how his father died of a chronic heart condition soon after making it to Lebanon. Later, his mother abandoned him and his siblings.
Naji has really suffered. He's been very angry and sad. We put him in a Lebanese public school, but the teachers yelled at him. They hit him and the other refugee children, so he didn't want to go back.
When Heart for Lebanon, which is supported by CBN, went to Naji's camp, we invited him to come to the Hope Center. Here, he's learning English, Arabic, and math.
I feel really happy going to school now. The teachers treat me nice, and I've made a lot of friends. It is like I have a big family.
We show Superbook in Arabic at the school so the kids can have some fun while learning about Jesus Christ.
I love Jesus because he came down from heaven and forgave my sins. Every time I want to do a bad thing, Jesus comes into my mind and tells me not to do it. He's always with me.
Since Naji started going to the Hope Center, he has gotten so much happier and he behaves himself. I'm so happy he has a safe place to go to school now.
Naji's aunt told us about how she and the other refugees all had to walk to the other side of their camp to collect water. So we installed a system that delivers fresh water directly to their tents. We also give food to Naji's family and thousands of other refugees. They all get rice, beans, canned meat, cleansers, and other household supplies. Every month, it's enough to keep a family of 6 going.
We really love Heart for Lebanon and CBN. You have done so much for us. We have enough food to feed our family and clean water to drink. Thank you so very much.
We even had a special surprise for Naji, a brand new bike.
I thought I was dreaming. I couldn't believe I would ever have a bicycle. It is so beautiful. I want to thank you for your kind hearts. Everything I have is from Heart for Lebanon and CBN. I love you so much.
It is time for your Monday Motivation, and here is a thought that I hope will jumpstart your day and perhaps your entire week. Consider this: God is just as available to guide you through life's high points as He is to move you through the low points. The issue is, how closely are you following? So incline your ear and listen closely. God is as close as you need Him to be, if not closer. With that word, make this a marvelous Monday. That will have to do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can reach us at newswatch@cbn.com or reach out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.